Well, thank you so much for joining us on the Life We're Given podcast. Today, I have Christine. We've only been talking a short while, but
Yeah.
when you just start like talking to somebody and you just kind of, it just clicks and you mesh. And I feel like that with Christine. I feel like I've known you before. Like, this
Yeah,
isn't the
me
first
too.
time.
Me too. Yeah.
We're excited to have you on the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I think this is going to be an awesome episode, one that we just talk about identity, a story of yours that, as you said, took you time to actually explain and talk about. But I think in your story is so much healing and so much relatability to other women out there. And so
Yes.
that's why I'm thankful that you have started sharing your story, just because I just think your story can help so many other people. Like we were just talking earlier about being in college and how your mindset is so different, and you
Yeah.
think you're grown and you're not grown, and some of
No
the
life
choices you
experience.
make.
Yeah,
None at all. You think you have it, but you
yeah,
don't. So I
exactly.
think it's really going to touch a lot of people that are older and people that really may be in that same position of being in college right now. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. So I want to start at the beginning of just talking about your childhood and your parents.
Okay.
So if we start there, you were the oldest of 6.
I was.
How
Yes.
was that experience of being the oldest? Like, how did you feel there?
It was fun. It was I think when you're the oldest of 6 and you're younger, you don't wanna be the oldest of 6, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Especially in my culture, like in the Filipino culture, the oldest female typically takes on the role of the 3rd parent.
Mhm.
So I had a lot of responsibility as a young person, as a teenager, as a middle schooler. I mean, I remember coming home and my mom's pregnant, and the first thing I had to do was clean the house when I got home from
Yeah.
school because there's kids and toys and everything everywhere. And then in the evenings, I mean, I'm in a middle school, I'm like 12, right? In the evenings, I would clean the kitchen, I would mop the floors, I would do everything every night. So there's a huge, I think I think being the oldest of 6, by the time I was 18 and I wanted to go to college, I was ready to get out of there because I was just
Mhm.
tired of the responsibility. And in my culture too, my dad didn't want my mom to drive, so I drove. So, in high school, not but in high school, I would drive her to downtown LA for work because she wasn't driving. So I was the primary driver.
Wow.
I would drive back, I'd leave like at 5:45 in the morning. I'd drive her to work. I'd come back from downtown LA. I'd get all my brothers and sisters ready for school. And then I'd go through the process of dropping them all off, one at daycare, one at elementary school and middle school, and then to go to high school, do my thing, and then I'd go pick them all up at the end of the day. So
Oh my
there was
gosh.
yeah, there was a lot. And so
Yeah.
when people ask, "Oh, you didn't do sports in high school?" No, I didn't because I had a lot of responsibility that I had to take on, right? And my
Yeah.
parents they weren't rich, but they were immigrants and they struggled. They wanted to give us the best life possible. So all the money they had was put into sending us to better schools, to private schools in
Yeah.
Los Angeles. But because of that, you know, not knowing about money so well, they were put in situations where we didn't have electricity sometimes. And so I'm, we're doing homework with candlelight, right? Or we're, short and, the water's going to go out. So they were trying really hard to make enough money to send us to the private schools. They were trying really hard to start businesses as well. Some of the businesses
Mhm.
didn't work out, right? And so it put us in a tough financial situation for some time. And so as a family member, the oldest of 6 in the culture that I was in, you have a lot of responsibility and you have to take on that responsibility and forego what you want to do for yourself, like do the sports, do all the after school activities, because
Mm.
it just wasn't going to happen for
And a
me.
part of that, your parents moved here from the Philippines to give you guys a better life,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
were you born then, or was that before you were here?
I was born in the Philippines. So my mom actually, in high school, she filled out the paperwork to come to the United States. So the way it works there is they go to high school until they're about 16, they graduate, and then you go to college. And I think that was the time where my mom said, "Well, I want to go to America. That's what I want to do."
Yeah.
And so she went to college and she finished. She's about 20, I think, at the time, and she finished pretty quick. And
Wow.
then she filled out the paperwork, and then you just wait. You just wait to see if your number is gonna be called and if you're gonna get that opportunity. And luckily for her, she got the opportunity when she hit about 27, 28 years old. Her number was called that she
Oh,
can go.
wow.
And at the time I was born, I was almost 2, and then my sister had just been born in December, and they were supposed to leave to the United States in January. So they left my sister in the Philippines because she was too young, because they didn't know where they were gonna be, they didn't know where they were gonna live. They only had $500 saved up, and, I came with my parents, and then they instead of going to New York, we ended up in Los Angeles. They decided to stay, and they got this one-bedroom studio, and I remember living there for a couple of years, sharing a bed with my parents. So,
Wow. How would
yeah.
you say those experiences of your childhood, because I think about my childhood compared to yours, like, at 12 years old, being a middle schooler, like, I was worried about, like, am I keeping up with my peers? Like, am I how I was insecure. I was the petite short one and all of my friends were growing and getting tall, so, like, that was my worries. But you never think about how, like, some of your peers at that time may be going through and having a different experience than you.
Mhm.
So, it really just made it click for me of, like, you really never know what people are going through, not I mean, even in their childhood and in that
Yeah.
time of their life. I mean, you had a lot of responsibility, um, you were like a 3rd mom. You were
Yeah,
picking them up and taking them to school.
making sure they brush their teeth. Like, I remember driving and
Yeah.
asking my little brother, "Did you brush your teeth?" "No." Driving back home, telling him to go brush his teeth. I mean, yeah, you are, because my mom didn't drive, right? But,
Mhm.
the perspective you have of, like, you don't know what your friends are going through, and I remember I went to this school, it was in Bell Gardens, it was middle school, and I think about all the kids that I went to middle school with, and I think back now, like, a lot of them are not alive, right? They
Mm.
didn't survive high school because it was a really gang-infested area that we lived in,
Mhm.
and I just remember going to, one of the guys there, God, I remember him today. He was the nicest kid. His name was Ernie, but he got into a gang, and I remember he was killed 2 years later, right?
Wow.
And when he was a sophomore in high school, and I remember one of the smartest girls in my middle school, one of my best friends, and she was literally the smartest girl. But I remember, like, just her situation, her parents split, and I remember going to her house after school. I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to go straight home, but I'd sneak over there to her house, and her mom was always there, always offering me, broccoli with cheese. There's always broccoli and
That's
cheese.
so funny.
And there was, like, piles of clothes in one of the bedrooms, and her mom would be hanging out with these, cholos all the time. And I didn't know what
Yeah.
was going on, and then I realized later on in life, I think, "Oh, she was high all the time."
Mm.
You know? And so and my friend would always just go, "Oh, come to the room," and we would just sit in her bedroom, and she would hide in her bedroom because there was
Mm.
always a bunch of guys there with her mom, and so you just don't know, like, as a
Oh,
middle schooler, I couldn't really, like, understand. Like, I didn't, because I didn't have enough life experience to really know, and I just thought that life was like that. I just had a lot of responsibility, but thinking back now and just seeing all those friends and the lives that they had, and
yeah.
just the people that I knew that aren't around anymore, it's sad, but you don't you just I try not to take life for granted now because of
Mhm.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Life is much shorter than we think it is,
mhm,
and yeah. And the people around you, like you said, you never know who will be here and when they may pass, and,
yeah.
that's probably nothing you ever thought of either. How would you say that that shaped you? Like, that being your childhood, you being the 3rd mom in the home, you taking care of your family, your parents too, in a way. How would you say that shaped you in life?
I think it's made me a bit of a control freak, to
Yeah.
be honest,
I
because
mean,
I
I
have
see
to,
why, yeah.
right, you have to, like, you're always checking, you're always double
Yep.
checking, you're learning, like, okay, you gotta check, you gotta double check, you gotta make sure things don't fall through, you can't really it really, like, led me to always, like, not rely, and it's hard still even today to rely on other people, because
Mhm.
back then I couldn't rely on it. There was no neighbor, right? My
Yep.
parents weren't culturally, it's hard, like, you're assimilating to American culture when you're an immigrant, But
Yeah.
in Los Angeles, you don't really make friends with all of the other immigrants, and it's different because
Hmm.
there's such a language barrier, right? And it's
Yeah.
not like people are doing it on purpose. It's just there's a language barrier, to the Chinese immigrant that lives next door to us here and the Vietnamese
Yeah.
immigrant that lives across the street and the Nigerian immigrant that lives around the corner, right? That there's a language barrier that you can't it's not like what you see on TV with everyone's getting together and having their, barbecues with their neighbors.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And first generation or even non-first generation immigrant neighborhoods, because you just kind of stay and there's a distrust because you're still within your culture,
Yeah.
right? And
Which
so
makes sense. Yeah.
there's that distrust in a weird kind of way, not because people did something wrong, it's just you don't know that culture and you just
Hmm.
don't rely on anybody else. So, like my husband, he's like, "Oh, I'm talking to all the neighbors and calling the neighbors if we need help, grab our mail." Like, I don't do that. Like, I don't
Yeah.
do that. It's just how I'm built because of my circumstances and how I was raised. And so you become a control freak. You become the person that, okay, if I'm going to do this, I have a backup plan and a backup plan and backup plan
Yep.
just in case, right? Like
Yeah.
here's
Plan
plan two,
B,
plan
C, D.
B,
Yeah.
C's and D's always. And then you're like, okay, who is there anybody I can trust? If not, then I'm going to change my plans this way. So even
Mm.
the way my brain thinks about how things are done, like it's hard when you become a leader. Like I'm a leader now, and you have to start instead of trying to do it when you become a leader, you can't do everything yourself, right? You have to,
Yeah.
in order for your people to grow and to learn and become leaders themselves, you have to start giving them responsibilities too and teaching them. And when I became a leader, that was hard to do at first because I was so
Yeah.
used to doing it all on my own, staying up until 1 a.m., getting up at 4, just
Yep.
getting it all done. And, you have to learn how to get past that. But yeah, that's what it's made me, all of those experiences.
I mean, that's very understandable, though. You have been so used to, like, you getting it done.
Mhm.
You even with your family, not just you
Yeah.
yourself solo, like, even with your family and helping them, and we'll get more into your story, but even through your life experiences, like, you've just been so used to getting it done and it
Yeah.
being all of you. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
It gets
S
tiring though when you get to my age.
Yeah,
I'm
I
tired.
bet. You're like, "I've gotta figure something else out."
Yeah, it's too tiring, yeah.
So at 18, you
Mhm.
leave the home,
Yeah.
and where do you go from there?
I went to California State University of Los Angeles
Yeah.
State School, ended up going there, I remember getting to UC Riverside, and my parents they didn't know what dorms were. So they're like, "Dorms? What's a dorm? You're not staying in a dorm," you know? So I ended up going to Cal State LA because it was driving distance, and at the time, my boyfriend in high school, which my parents didn't know I had a boyfriend, but my boyfriend in high school was going there too. Um, and so they really wanted me to become a physician. So I majored in chemistry and I started going to school, and it was so awesome to be on my own and not have all those
Yeah.
responsibilities and to be able to not have to rush to get ready and to just do whatever I wanted to do. So I had a really good time the first few years in college.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. I joined a sorority, I joined this group, I did everything. I mean, I had to fill my time. All of a sudden, I didn't have all these responsibilities, and so I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that," and so I signed up for everything. I literally did everything. So,
How did that make you feel to have that just kind of like relief, like, "Okay, now I can care for me only."
yeah,
How did
it
that
it
feel?
it was freeing,
Yeah.
honestly. I felt free. I felt, just and, I didn't feel guilty about not being home because when I would go home, then I get stressed out about, "Why is this not happening?" I felt like I had to control that still too, but
Yeah.
it was freeing to be able to just think about me. It was nice to be selfish for a little bit, you know?
Mhm.
Felt good,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah, it felt really
Yeah.
good.
College is fun. I feel like you pick different friend groups in college. Like you said, I was in a
Yeah.
sorority too, and it really helps to kind of find your place in college and kind of figure out where you feel like you fit in and
Mhm.
what do you like most. Where would you say, like, did you date your boyfriend all the way through college or
No, we broke up. Um, he he wanted to break up, which I was very sad about, because I thought we
Yeah,
were gonna be forever together, you know, when
of
you're that
course.
age. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think I remember, yeah, I thought we were gonna be together forever, and it was a terrible breakup. I was crying every day
Mm,
uncontrollably, and then I just started I said, "Well, I'm just gonna do everything." I took a basketball class, I went to all these sorority and these fraternity parties, there was always free food. I'm like, "Oh, free food? I I could just go."
always.
You know? There was always some free food, and it was just fun just meeting people. I remember joining the physics club, the chemistry club. I remember joining I just I honestly, having broken up with the boyfriend was probably a good thing for me because I
Yeah,
was living my life, and making choices for the boyfriend, if that makes sense.
it
So
does. Yeah.
everything I liked to do was what he liked to do. All my friends were his friends. I mean, I had my
Yeah.
friends, but basically in college, all my friends were his friends. You know, he liked the Beatles, I liked the Beatles. I mean, I didn't really like the Beatles, to be honest. I mean, great, the
Yeah.
music's great, but I don't need to go to the Beatle Fest every year with you, right?
Yeah.
And get dressed up like a Beatle, like I did, you know what I mean? Like, but like all of those things, it wasn't what I liked, it was what he liked, and I really still didn't know what I liked yet. And so having that time, unfortunately, it was like having that time free to figure out what I liked was great. But then I got into another relationship right after. It was like
Yeah.
I just fell into another
Yeah.
relationship, a long term relationship. So didn't have that time to really figure out who I was yet. And I fell into the same patterns of,
Mm,
he liked his eggs over medium, or, he liked his eggs scrambled. I like my eggs scrambled.
yeah.
It was interesting, so
That
yeah.
reminds me of the movie, I think it's Runaway Bride with,
Yes. Yes, that was me.
where she likes her eggs, however, the person
Yes.
she's dating at the time likes their eggs. I mean,
Yes.
it's so just those little scenes in the movie really speak a lot to, like I think what a lot of women do is falling
Yeah.
into a relationship and having to you feel like you have to be or put yourself last in order to make the relationship work, really.
Yeah. But you don't
And,
realize you're doing it though, right? I think when you're
exactly.
younger,
Yeah,
you don't
yeah,
realize that you're actually putting them first in order,
yeah,
and you're compromising you and what you like. And not saying all women do this, but there are women
yeah, of
that do
course.
this. And the challenge is that you do that because are you doing it because you're afraid that he's going to leave if he doesn't really like you, right? You're
Mhm.
becoming what
Yeah,
he likes for him to stay with you. And so I don't know. I think maybe partially that's what I was doing. I was becoming what he wanted me to become in order for him to stay with me because I wasn't sure if he would really like the person I was, right?
yeah.
Um, I know it's deep, but I mean, I think that was the
No, it's
truth.
so true. It made me even think, I mean, for me, when I was younger dating, I always felt like, okay, I have to look pretty in some way around
Yeah.
him. Like like
Yeah.
who can do that? Who can keep those
That's a
standards
lot of
up?
work.
A
Yes.
lot of work. So yeah, I think somewhere in all of our minds as women, we're like, okay, you subconsciously think, okay, why is he with me? And
Mhm.
how do I keep this relationship going? And I think
Yeah.
that really outwardly is that's where it comes from. I feel
Yeah.
like through my own experience for sure.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So jumping into this next relationship, we find out that you do get pregnant in college,
Yeah.
but the story at
Yeah.
the end of her name and everything, I can't wait to get there. I think it's so beautiful. But tell us about that experience of finding out you were now pregnant.
Yeah, I remember, okay, and if you haven't been pregnant, you won't know this, but if you have been pregnant, you'll know this. I remember, like, I used to have really heavy, okay, I'm gonna talk like real. I had
Yeah,
really
yeah, please.
heavy periods, right?
Yeah.
And then where I'd get really tired, but I remember I was like sleeping in till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon and skipping
Mm,
classes because I just felt so tired. I'm like, uh-oh, I think something's up. And I remember going, I go, gosh, I think I need to take a pregnancy test. And I remember going in again, I got like 5 pregnancy tests, 5 different ones. I
yeah.
wanted to make sure. And I remember I took the test and I was by myself. And I went, "Oh my gosh, I'm pregnant." Every single one was positive. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. What the heck?" And I think the first person I told was my mother. I didn't tell him, right? And I'm
Yeah.
driving my mom because, of course, I'm still driving my mom, right? She doesn't really drive that
Yep.
much. She drives now. She finally got her license, but she's not a very good driver. So, back then, and she doesn't drive anymore. She stopped driving like 15 years ago. She just really hasn't really driven. But,
Yeah.
so I'm driving Miss
That's
Daisy.
so funny.
It's funny because the guy that drives me to the airport drives my mom now too. So it's pretty cute. It's cute
Oh,
because she
that's
doesn't. Yeah,
hilarious.
the Uber guy. So she doesn't sit in the back. She sits in the front.
That's when you know, yeah, you've been driven around a
Yeah,
lot. When you go from the back seat to the front, yeah,
yeah.
you're buddies now.
Exactly. She's so funny.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, she's a hoot. So I remember driving her around and I tell her, I go, "Mom, I'm pregnant." And she goes, "Oh, stop joking with me.
No
Stop
way.
joking." Yeah, I go, "I'm not joking." She goes, "Oh, this is not a funny joke." And she thought I was kidding. I go, "No." I mean, it took like 15 minutes for me to convince her that I was pregnant. And I remember she's like, "Wow, I guess you're having the baby." I said, "Yep, I'm
Yep.
gonna have the baby." There was, like, no discussion on whether I was gonna keep the baby or not. There was nothing because our faith, um,
Mm,
we don't believe, if you're pregnant, it's a gift, right? So,
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember telling my friends, I told the boyfriend, and he was excited. He was excited. I remember he was excited, but then there was a weird kind of tone to it, so he wasn't that excited at first. And then, still, I guess. But, um, I remember telling my friends, and I remember telling him, "Oh, it's God's gift. It's a gift from God that I'm pregnant. This is a gift."
yeah.
And they're like, "Okay." I said, "Yeah." And they kept like, "This is a gift." And I knew that it was a girl. Like, I knew. Like, within, like, the first month, I knew it was a girl. Like, I
Wow.
was sure. I didn't get the test to find out what I was gonna have. I wanted to be surprised, but I knew. I
Yeah,
just knew.
you just
Like,
had this gut feeling
mhm.
that it was a girl.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
so you not telling the boyfriend first, thinking back to that, why do you think that was?
I think now that I think back, now it's been 30 years, right? My daughter's 30 now.
Wow.
Um, Thinking back, it was 31 years. I think I needed to get the reassurance from my mom that it was okay to keep the baby
Mm,
because I was afraid that if I told the boyfriend first that he would say, "No, don't keep the baby." And I wasn't I needed a backup. I needed
yeah,
someone to support my decision, whether he did supported it or not, right? And so telling my mom, I knew where she
yeah.
stood regarding, unwed pregnancies and all of that. So that's the reason why.
I mean, that makes sense though. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know your mom will be the one to tell you the truth, number 1, but
Yeah.
also be very supportive, number 2.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it makes
Exactly.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. She was so like,
Um,
"You're keeping the baby." It was so funny. She was like so gung
oh,
ho about it. Yeah.
how did that make you feel? Like, for me, that would've been like a sigh of relief,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
did. I had relief. I had like, okay, I'm making the right decision.
Mhm.
Okay, yes, this is a gift. Yes, this is supposed to
Yeah.
be good. This is a good thing. This is really because, all of my friends, not all of them, but half of my friends were like, you shouldn't keep the baby. You should. I mean, I had friends telling me up until 6 months, you still have another week.
Oh, wow.
You can still go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're 18, right?
No, at this point, I was
How old are you?
actually I'd been in college a while. I was 20. I just turned 24.
Wow.
Yeah, so, yeah, I was in college. I was on the 6-year plan
Oh.
because I was working and I was just changing my
Yeah,
major 1,000 times.
yeah.
Classes weren't available at state, it's just one of those things. So, yeah, it took me a while.
Wow. So
Oh,
24 years old.
actually, I was 23. I was 23 because I had her when I was 24, so I was 23.
So
Yeah.
23 years old, you're pregnant.
Yeah.
how was the relationship with the boyfriend at this time? Like, was it good? Was it bad? Or what was going on there?
It's funny because he was supportive, and then I slowly could tell he was, like, pulling away, and then he
Mm,
started making these claims that it wasn't his baby.
mm,
So, there was this whole game, this mental game that was happening, and, when you're 23 and you don't have a lot of self-confidence yet, you're just, it's just the beating up of you mentally it
yeah.
takes its toll. And then I remember when I was about 8 months pregnant, we had driven up to his family's house that was about like 12 hours away, and we did the drive, and he told me that he loved me as a sister and that he was in love with somebody else
Ugh,
during the drive. And I'm 8 months pregnant. Yeah. So, yeah, it's hard. It's, when I think about it
that's
now, I mean,
hard.
I laugh because it's just, it's hard to hear that. I mean, you're confined in this car and you're
12
being
hours.
told, yeah, and you're
Yeah,
being told this stuff. And what am I supposed to do?
yeah,
I'm 8 months pregnant. I don't wanna get all stressed out. I don't wanna have the baby too early. I don't so I'm trying really hard to stay very calm for the baby's sake.
ugh,
Um, and yeah, that was our conversation. And then he was in the military, and he went to, Japan, and I remember, I kept trying to keep talking to him. I just didn't wanna
mhm,
let go, even though he already told me that. I didn't wanna let go. I kept calling. Just kept calling Japan to get hold of him because I'm pregnant. I'm just
yeah,
like, "This has to work. This has to work."
yeah,
I just wouldn't let go no matter what he said. And I remember another guy picked up the phone. It was at the military base, and he's like, "Ma'am, I don't know who you are, but this guy's not a good guy." He said,
ugh,
"You need he's with a lot of different women, blah, blah, blah." And, you know, I'm still trying, right? Because you're
yeah,
just in your mind, you're like, I'm gonna have a perfect where you have daddy and mommy together. It's
it
gonna be
has to
perfect.
work.
It had to
Mhm,
work, and you're like,
mhm,
everything around you is telling you this is just let it go, but you can't let go.
mhm,
It's weird. It's like weird when you're in that situation. You just can't let it go, even though
yeah,
everybody in their right mind is telling you, dude, this is not working. You need to like just move on. You can't move
yeah,
on. It's just you're just stuck. And even though that person told me that on the phone and it hurt, I still wouldn't let go.
mm,
Um, and then and then I remember he came back to the United States, and then and it just kept spiraling, right? And then the mental comments,
yeah,
were very hard. And you just keep taking it going, "This is gonna work," and then it wasn't working. It just wasn't. And then I think it was like he didn't want it to work, but I was trying so hard to make it work, and that I think his commentary and the things that he was doing was really hurting me in
yeah,
order to make it not work, right? And so, um, and you get to that point where you're just all of that continues to happen. You continue to take it because you're like, I'm not gonna be a single mom. No, I am a single mom. Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen to my life? Oh my gosh, 2 years ago I was like in college and I was the president of this and I did all this stuff and
yeah,
look what's happening to my life. And I remember just having breakdowns and throwing stuff out of the windows and just getting just I would when I would get upset, I would lose it. It wasn't like
yeah,
when you get upset now, you just get upset. I would lose it, get upset, and I'd throw crap out of the window, and I'd kick doors and punch walls. I mean, I was losing it,
mm,
physically losing it because I couldn't, like, quite control, like, because 'cause you're trying to get a sense of control of your life, and you're just like, "What's happening? What's
yeah,
happening here?" Right?
yeah,
And you're trying to still stay calm for the baby too, right? Because
yeah.
you don't want her to get that, so,
It
yeah.
sounds like he was not the best
Mhm.
person for that relationship, but you also had people kind of like angels. You had these people that were trying to tell you, "Hey,
Mhm.
you're honestly better off without him,"
Yeah.
which of
Yeah.
course is hard for you to see, but then also I feel like that control goes back to your childhood. Like,
Uh-huh.
you're like, "But this I controlled everything my childhood. I was able to make those things work. I was able to help my family, and
Yeah.
I was able to get to college, and look at everything I've done," and
Yeah.
it's like, now I'm here. I'm here in my life.
Yes.
I didn't wanna be here, but
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm thankful to have a beautiful baby girl on the way or is here,
Yes.
but
Mhm.
I'm here and this has to work. I've everything else I've controlled up to now has
Yeah.
worked.
Yeah.
It has worked out for me. And
And it
so it
has
makes
to work.
sense. Yes,
Mhm.
so it makes sense for the frustration and the anger and the throwing
Mhm.
things and kicking walls because up until then, it always worked for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. To anybody that may be in your position that may be pregnant now or is frustrated about their life and them being young, like,
Mhm.
what do you tell people from your own experience?
It's a good question. Um, if someone was in my situation and they found themselves pregnant out of wedlock and the guy doesn't, you really want it to work, but the guy, you can
Yeah.
tell that the guy doesn't. Um, Part of it is fear because we're afraid that we can't do it by ourselves. Part of it is
Mhm.
fear. Um, and I can't say don't be afraid because you're going to be afraid. I mean, you're
Yeah.
just going to be afraid. Number two, I also say, now that I look back at it, I look at it as God wouldn't have given me this huge responsibility of having this child if he didn't believe that I would be the best mom for her.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Right? Oh, I'm gonna
Yeah.
cry.
I know, I'm getting
Um,
teared
yeah,
up. Oh, that's so beautiful. Like, well said. Yeah, it's true.
right?
You were meant
But
to be
it's
a
true,
mom.
like, yeah, because
Mhm.
there's so many people out there that can't have children, that are
Mhm.
trying and trying and trying,
Yeah.
paying thousands of dollars to get pregnant. And for me, like, I got pregnant so easily, so it was and I didn't have any more children after that, right? I
Yeah.
didn't get pregnant again. So who knows?
Wow.
Who knows? Like, had I not had her, would I have had children at all?
Yeah. Or if you woulda
Um,
listened to those people that said, "You've got another week," like,
yeah.
if you would've
And
listened to that.
and it's funny because one of those people that said that to me, it was like 6 years ago, I saw her and she apologized for that.
Wow, that was still on
Yeah.
her heart.
It was still in her heart, yeah. Can you believe
Wow.
that?
Wow,
I know,
yeah,
I
that's
know.
crazy.
It's
Because that was
crazy.
yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago and she still had it on her heart, so
Wow.
it's
Well,
crazy.
she was
It
definitely meant to be here, that's for
I
sure.
know. So that's a fear. Number 2, you wouldn't have been given that gift if you couldn't handle it. And
Yeah.
number 3, and it's what the lady at welfare told me, right? Don't allow your circumstances to create your life. It's just
Mm.
your situation to create your life. It's not your situation isn't who you are. The
Mhm.
situation you're in right now isn't who you're going to be. It's not,
Yep.
right? And sometimes we allow the situation or our circumstances to dictate who we are and how we're going to live our life. Well, I'm a single mom and I don't have any money and I'm on welfare, so whatever. That means I can't do anything. No, that's not the truth. It's
Yeah.
just it's a lie from the enemy,
I love that. I
right?
wanna talk about that defining moment in your life, I feel like, but leading up to that, your sister stepped in at one point, am I right? And
Yeah.
that is kind of where you did a 180 and you're like, "I'm gonna live for me and my child."
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
about that time.
There was an incident with the ex where he let's just say he got my sister very, very, very upset, right?
Yeah.
And she called me just uncontrollably crying because of the stuff that
Mhm.
he said to her, almost threatening. And I remember I'm like, "Oh my gosh, he's been hurting me this whole time. Now he's hurting my family." And that
Mm.
was the kind of like that was, I think, the point where I was like, I was okay with him hurting me, right? I was okay with those
Yeah.
comments to me, like, I was okay with that, like, it was happening for years. But once he hurt my family and I heard how she was crying and so
Mm.
hurt and so and fearful also, there was, like, fear in her voice and pain, and when I heard that, I thought I was gonna lose it completely. I remember screaming at the top. I hung up with her and I screamed at the top of my lungs, like, "I can't take this anymore." I thought my brain was gonna explode, and I remember my brother and his friends were downstairs, and they thought I was going crazy because I screamed so
You're like,
loud.
"What's going on up there?"
But I remember after I screamed, I really felt like God heard me
Mm,
because I screamed so loud, and all of a sudden I had this calmness, this calm and peace that came over me, like it was
wow,
like 180 degrees, like a complete calm. And I was just very calm, very peaceful. And I remember calling my sister back, "I'll be right there." Drove to her house in Orange County, and I was talking to her, and she basically said, "If you wanna leave, I'll give you the money. We'll give you some money for you to leave, because I didn't have any money. I didn't
yeah,
I mean, he was using all my credit cards, the ex was, to take out these girls on dates and stuff. So I didn't have any money. I don't know how much I had. I had less than $100 to my name at the time.
wow,
So they lent me a couple $100, and then and because of that, because of her and her husband saying, "We will give you the money. You just need to get away. You need to, like, start all over. You need to reset." And they encouraged me, and I remember calling my girlfriend. I said, "Can I sleep on your couch?" She says, "Come on up." She lived in San Francisco, and I remember just going home, throwing all the stuff I can squeeze into trash bags into my car, and then taking my daughter and just leaving at 3 AM for San Francisco, and just leaving with the money that
wow,
they gave me. Um, but it wasn't so much what she said, it was just the fear and I could hear the fear and the pain in her voice to me that I was feeling this whole time.
yeah,
And I'm
wow,
like, "I'm not gonna let him do that to my family."
yeah.
Right.
I know how that feels, yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
"I know how that feels."
Yeah.
Wow. So that was a pivotal moment for you. You've now decided, "I want better for me and my girl,
Yeah.
and no matter what it is, I'm gonna fight for that." And that led you to go on and get on welfare, am I right?
Yeah.
You didn't have any money.
I didn't have any money. I was sleeping on my friend's couch with my daughter, my 1.5 years at the time, I think she was, like,
Oh,
15 months, sleeping with her on the couch. We slept I didn't really sleep that much, I just held her. But I needed money, like, I needed help, like, I didn't have anything, so I went
mhm.
to the welfare office. I remember sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting on welfare." Um, but I got on welfare, I got on the food stamps, I got on the assistance, I got on everything. And, it's funny because like I said earlier, the lady at the welfare office, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're basically done with your degree in chemistry." She goes, "What are you doing here? You can," like, she saw all the potential that I had.
Yep,
Like, she's
yeah.
like, "You can teach, you can do," like, she was giving me all these ideas of all this stuff that I could do. She goes, "You can do this, you can do that. You're gonna be fine." And I just sat there. I remember just looking at her, and she just saw all the potential, and she was the one that says, "Don't let your circumstances determine, create your life," or you know what I mean? She was the one that
Yeah,
told me.
yeah,
And, but it's so funny, some person that I didn't know from the welfare office in Marin County tells me she can see all the potential that I had, and
yeah.
I had just met her, like, we had just been talking for 15 minutes, and, like, she saw it all. And
Mm.
she was, like, just going,
She
"Oh, you
spoke
can do
life
this."
into you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She spoke a lot of life into me, and you wouldn't think, like,
Mhm.
these government workers,
Yeah.
they're just processing paper, but no, she wasn't just processing paper, she was processing hope for people, you know?
Wow.
And so, I don't even remember her name. If I could, like, remember her name today just to send her, like, a just give her a hug and send her a gift, but,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, but she got me on welfare, and after that conversation, I really thought about it. I go, "No, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna get out of this situation. I'm I have potential. Like, I can do this."
Yeah.
And so after that, I just started applying for jobs and got a job, like, a week and a half later, I got an offer, so it was, like, unbelievable. I was like, "Wow, she was right." Like, I got 3 offers so
You did
fast, you
it.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, it's just interesting just how someone who doesn't know you can really, like, help you. You just don't
Yeah.
know who God's speaking through, right?
And I think it's so cool too, because I feel like, uh, for us as ourselves, we don't see the potential in ourselves that other people see.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot, and so to have somebody see that within you, but also speak it and not just, like, think it, like, "What is she
Yeah.
doing here?" Like, this
Yeah.
th what I see on paper, she should not be here.
Yeah.
But for her to speak that to you, I think says a lot, and it's something that stayed with you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it was like that turning point of me just
Mhm.
staying on welfare and just sitting on my butt going, "What am I gonna do?" Like, she actually turned something on in me to say,
Yeah,
"You can do this. This lady who doesn't know you saw your potential, so you
yeah,
should be able to see your potential too." Like, she doesn't know you, she can see it.
yeah.
So it's there, it's still there, you haven't lost it, right? You haven't
Wow.
right? And so just that and just crawling out of that hole, like, it was a long hole. Like, I was down, I had pushed myself down deep into that hole,
Yeah,
and just crawling out of it was really hard, but, I'm holding onto the walls, crawling up, you
right?
know what I mean? Just making my way back to
Speaks
the
to the
light.
mental but it speaks to the mental strength also. Yeah,
Yeah,
how was it mentally during that time for you, being on welfare and
it
trying to
was
care for you and a baby?
yeah, it was hard. I think I felt, peace for me was cleaning my friend's house, like, I would vacuum all the time and, I was just cleaning up, mentally it was hard. I was happy when I got off welfare a couple months later. I mean, I wasn't on very long, but I was long enough. I mean, I stayed on the food stamps for a while, and I stayed on the WIC for at least 2 years.
Yeah,
Um, but, um but, like, all the other subsidies, I went off of that, but I think it was hard, but I kept telling myself, "This is just temporary, Christine, this is just
mhm.
temporary, this isn't forever." And
Yeah,
I had to keep telling myself, like, these and they call them affirmations now, but I would
yeah.
sit in the shower and no, seriously, like, they didn't call it I don't know if they called it affirmations back then, but I would tell myself this stuff every day. "This is just temporary, Christine.
Mm,
You're gonna get out of this," and I'd be in the shower, "You're gonna make $523,000 a year, Christine. You're gonna do this, Christine. You're gonna" like, I would say the same stuff over and over and over to myself every single day in the shower. So every
mm,
morning, and I would just tell myself, and it you say that stuff and then you go out into the world and it's not like that because 'cause you're like
yeah.
going, "Oh my gosh, I have $22 left in my account. Oh my gosh, don't have money for gas. Like, I'm gonna have to, like, figure something out." But, I just kept telling myself that, and
Mm,
I and it's funny because it's so, like, they talk about affirmations now so much, like, all of this stuff, but back then, I was doing it to teach myself to believe in myself, but I was also doing it so that I wouldn't say all the other bad stuff I was saying to myself.
yeah,
Because we do, where we get in those
true.
situations, and what happens is we start you don't realize the stuff you're saying to yourself, like, "Oh, this is never gonna work.
Mhm.
Oh, it never works out for me."
And how it affects you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm not smart enough.
yeah,
Of course I'm not smart enough. Of course I didn't get
yeah,
that job. I'm not pretty enough." You
yeah.
start saying that, but it just always you always say it. And so
Mhm.
what I realized was when I was saying all that other stuff, like, "Yeah, you're super capable, you're smart, Christine, you can do this, you have promise, you have grace on you, you have all of this," like, what it was doing was during the day, it was counteracting all the other bad stuff I was telling myself I was saying.
Mhm.
And so
Wow.
instead of me saying, "Oh, you're not smart enough," and then I would hear myself go, "Heck yeah, you're smart enough. What are you talking about?" Like,
Yep.
you're starting to counteract that stuff, but most of the time, we as women, and maybe even men too, when you get in those situations, you there's a pattern of speech that you're saying to yourself and you don't realize it, and
It's
it
true.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I'll hear it in myself, like, I'll hear my boyfriend do it, and I'll be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, nope, we're not gonna speak like that to
Yeah,
ourselves." Like,
exactly.
no, we hold each other accountable because there are times where you do it and you're like, "Wait, I said that?" Like, I
Mhm.
can't I gotta stop because then you start believing it.
You start to believe it, yeah, you s
Yeah.
and you get into it, like, I still get it, like, I went through a period, like, I'm fat, I would always say, "Oh, I can't go, I'm too fat. Oh, I can't
Yeah.
eat that, I'm too fat." Like, you say it, like, in passing too, and you don't
Yep.
realize you're actually talking yourself down, like, "Oh, no, I can't have any cake, I'm too fat right now," or, "I'm just
Yeah.
a little chubby." You try to
Yeah.
say it funny, but you're really talking yourself down
Yeah.
in your own way, but you're saying it out loud, but then instead of saying it out loud, you're also saying it in your head. too, and you
Mhm.
don't realize it, but when you fill your brain with other things about yourself,
Mhm.
I'm awesome. I'm super smart. I'm smarter than most people. I don't know, whatever you want to do.
Yep.
All of a sudden, those things start to repeat itself. And so when you put yourself in a certain situation, those are the things that are going to come through. And it's such an easy fix for all of us, but it's also the thing that holds a lot of us back.
I agree. I agree.
So,
Also reminds me of, I've seen, like, this study done where, if you speak to plants, if you speak life to them, they grow and
uh
they're beautiful. They've
yeah.
done this study where they've had 2 different plants. One they were speaking positive life into, telling it was beautiful, it was gonna grow, and it was doing great. The other
Wow.
plant, they were speaking nothing but negative to it, and it started dying.
Oh,
And so it
wow.
just really speaks to, like, us as humans and us speaking more life into ourself, and I think that is such a good thing to talk about on this podcast because so many times, like you said, we subconsciously do that and we don't
Mhm.
speak life or anything positive. Like you said, sometimes it's just funny, like, oh, I'm a little chubby or
Yeah.
I've gained more weight lately. Like I got to work this off,
Yeah.
and how we shouldn't be doing that because it still isn't good. So,
Yeah,
um,
it gets ingrained in your brain because your brain doesn't know the difference between positive and negative. Like, it just
yeah,
takes what we say as truth, whether it's
yeah,
positive or negative, it just takes it. And so that's why, like, I think the thing with the plants, I think there's a study with kids too, like in kindergarten. I don't know if it's kindergarten or
mhm,
1st grade, and the reinforcement they give kids in one class versus another class, and
yeah,
where the kids end up years later, or what they do. So, it's the same thing. It's just you're pouring in, what you're pouring
yeah,
in. So, um, yeah, if I could go back to me back then, I would have put that in place. Like those
yeah,
affirmations, all of that self-talk, that is the first thing that I would do, like, all the time. Like, now I
wow,
think I just started again, like, a whole series of just affirmations in the morning and the evening, just kinda going through, and you can do it now
yeah.
with on Spotify with binaural beats as well, like, you can do all this stuff
Oh,
too,
cool.
but even if you use scripture, like, even if you just take a bunch of scripture, I was looking at one somebody laminated, but even the stuff like, "He's
Yeah,
greater in me than he who's in the world," like, all of the just
yeah,
saying it over and over and over and over again, it just becomes part of your language. And that's
it
how you speak to
does.
yourself. So,
It does. I love that tip too for our listeners. I do want to talk through. So now you're at this pivotal moment. You've
mhm.
now been living on your own. You got a job. You're able to move out, not sleep on the couch. Now you have your
Yeah.
own bed. And you've made this just really quick 180 change in knowing that there was something more for you. You've had somebody speak life into you at this point. Where are you now that you're in your own home, you're in, you're really now, providing for you and your child at this point?
Yeah, I'm okay, this is probably like a probably I'm now providing. I got a good job with a big company. I have a company car. I mean, it was
Mhm.
literally, it took 9 months. It took
Wow.
9 months to get out of the situation. And it seemed like forever back then.
Yeah,
But
I
I
bet.
remember
Yeah.
it seemed like forever. I was begging people like that I barely worked with for money because I was barely
Yeah.
making it, right? I was on the milk, the peanut butter, the eggs, and then I was eating tuna, 20-cent cans of tuna from the 99-cent store and a bag of rice. So that was my meal all the time with a little bit of
Yeah.
salt. And then if somebody got soup at work, I get the free crackers. So it's just like, you learn how to not eat.
Yeah.
Um,
You're
but,
surviving.
yeah, but by that point I was like, yeah, it was I really got out of the situation. I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is really awesome." Like, I'm now making all this money, but my belief system in myself was still not completely there. I had a
Yeah.
belief to get a great job. I had belief enough to get a really great job with a big pharmaceutical company, but every time I got around the people that I worked with, I didn't feel like I felt like an imposter.
Mm.
I didn't feel like I should be around them, right? Like, who am I? I'm a single mom. Like, I would talk about myself, I'm a single mom that was just on welfare, and these people I'm working with went to USC, went to Duke, went to, you know what I mean? They're like,
Wow.
they went to all these great schools and they're working, and like, how did I get in here?
Yeah.
Right? And so it was like, it was a whole, all of that imposter syndrome that we still go through. All of us, I think all of us go through that.
Mhm. Yep.
And it was just always like, so that first year at my job, I couldn't quite get into the job because I didn't feel like I totally belonged at the
Mm.
job, because I'm like, "I shouldn't be around these people. This person went to Duke, this person went to USC, this person went to, like, somebody went to, like, um, University of San Francisco." I mean, these were, like, really top-notch schools, and they
Wow.
graduated, and they got a job, and then there's me. I was like, "I'm a Cal student," you know what I mean? And so I was already talking myself down.
Yeah.
Right? Because of that imposter syndrome. So that first year at my job, even though I was making a lot of I was making more money, I was like, 38,000, yes. I was
Yeah.
so excited with the 38,000. It was a sales job, but I couldn't quite like grasp the job, and I was failing at the job. I even got
Mm.
written up because they're like, you need to get yourself together because you're not doing the job well. And so it was that too. It's not only like you have to go through these steps, right? It's like getting out of your situation. Okay, I got out, but then you're still always taking another step because that
Yep.
same thing that held you back is still there. It just looks different. It's the same
Mm.
challenge. It just looks a little bit different. And you constantly have to evolve to get past that challenge. So for me, it was believing that I believed enough to get the job, but I didn't believe enough that I deserved the job.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was,
Wow.
you know? But,
Yeah.
like, now when I look at imposter syndrome now, which I still have it, but I think to myself, "Well, there's a reason why I'm in this room." Like, yeah, I feel like I'm an imposter. I'm not $10,000,000. I mean, I'm not worth $10,000,000 yet, but you are, and you are, and you are. Well, there's a reason why I'm in this room,
Yeah.
right?
There
There's a
is.
reason why, because I'm supposed to be in here. Not
Yeah.
because I'm there yet, but I'm supposed to be in here and there's a reason why. And so I look at it now like there's a reason why I'm here, and I don't that part, I've worked on that a lot in the last probably like 10 years. There's a reason why I'm in here and I belong. But you still go through the little nuances of, oh my gosh, I'm not like these people. Oh my gosh, I'm not like, because you just think of all the reasons why you're
Yeah.
not the reasons why you are,
Yeah. You didn't feel
right?
like you deserved it. Yeah. Out
Yeah.
of everybody. I mean, you telling that to me, if, somebody went to Duke, University of San
Mhm.
Francisco,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Wow, she's in the room with like, she's up there," is how
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
Yeah.
like the potential, like, there is more to this lady
Yeah.
than I mean, to sit with these other people, yeah, she should be there. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
It is
And to be
amazing.
on
And I
welfare at that time and to come from the situation you were in, like, wow. I mean, to know that to me, I would say at that point, you had made it because
Mhm.
you got out of a bad situation and got to a place that most people don't get within 9 months.
Yeah, but on the
Like, how awesome.
outside, it looks like I made it, but on the inside, I hadn't made it yet.
You
I
were
was
still wrestling with
I
that.
was still wrestling with it. Like, do I really
Yeah.
deserve this? Am I really supposed to be here? Am I really good enough to be here?
Yeah. It
Right?
wasn't your child or the situation, now it was the job.
It was the job. It was me. It was
Yeah.
the whole, yeah. It's so, yeah. I don't look like everybody. I mean, part of it too is like I never look like everybody,
Yeah.
right? That's why I think for me now, just telling my story and putting myself out there, um, part of it is to let people know that there are people that look like you out there. It's like I look
There
like you,
are.
right? Because
Yeah.
no one looked like me. And so I couldn't relate to anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You were the
saying, right?
first. Yeah, you felt like the
Yeah.
first and the only.
Yeah. The first and the only. So it's cool though. It's cool just to kind of see how things have changed and evolved. And
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting what people want you to be too when you start to move up in these positions, what they want you to be for them. And
Yeah.
I can't really be everything for everyone, right? And so when you try to, you just fail at it. It's just not going to work. But it's And that's the thing with your listeners, if they're going through this stuff, you have to just really, like, think about, you're meant to be in that room for a reason, and so don't second guess it. You're
Yeah.
there for a reason. You've been placed there for a reason, so don't second guess it at all.
Yeah.
So,
I love that. And back to the affirmations too of
mhm.
speaking to yourself and I feel like we're always a work in progress too, and it sounds like that's kind of like, okay, I've conquered this, but okay, there's another hurdle,
There's another hurdle. I know.
and it's like, what am I learning about myself now and this, and okay, once I learn that, how do I take that and grasp onto it, and okay, I've learned that lesson. Now move on to this other hurdle
Mhm.
about yourself also and learning about
Yeah.
you. So,
But you're also evolving though, right? Because sometimes you're learning the lesson, you're like, "Okay, why am I going through this again?" It's because you haven't learned the lesson. And so
true.
yeah, because what I've
Yeah.
seen is I just went through this. Why am I going to I haven't
Yeah.
learned what I'm supposed to learn
That's
because
true
I'm going
too.
through
That
it again.
happens a lot.
It happens a
Yeah.
lot. And then you know that you've learned it when you have another thing to learn, you're like, "Oh, this is new. Oh, that means
Yeah.
I got past the old one." Right?
Yep. Okay, I can finally
Yeah.
check that.
Thank God.
I moved on.
Yeah.
I do wanna talk about your sweet girl that's now 31, you said?
Oh, 30, 30,
30.
yeah.
She's
Mhm.
30. Tell us about her name and what you named her and why.
Okay, so it's funny, the whole story about because some people, they have babies and they have all the names, I had no name picked out, right? And so I remember sitting on the phone and someone's like, "What about this name? What about that name?" And I would look at her. It was like the day after I had her, I'm in the hospital. I go, "Jacqueline, Phoebe," I was like, "Phoebe, Rachel."
Going through all the names.
My friends' names. Yeah.
Yeah.
Friends was really popular back then. So it was like Rachel, Monica, Phoebe. Like I was going through all the friends'
That's
names,
hilarious.
all the different names, and I'm looking at her and go, she doesn't look like that. And then somebody said, "What about Matea?" Because it was different. I go, "Oh, I kind of like that. I can call her Taya, or I can call her Maddie, or I can call her Tay Tay. There's a bunch of
Yeah,
different,
that's
or
cute.
Matt. So I can call her different names from that. So I'm like, oh, I like it. So I named her Matea. And everyone's like, "Oh, that's so different." I go, "Yeah, it's different, but it was supposed to be like we were supposed to call her Maddie. I ended up calling her. I think I ended up calling her. We called her Maddie, but I think I ended up calling her Taya. I can't remember. Like when
Yeah,
she was little, Matute. We called her Matute. We had a bunch of names for her.
that's cute.
Then she had a little bit of an attitude. It was Mateatude is what it was. But, I remember when she was, like, 13 and, I met someone at church, like, "Oh my god, it's such a pretty name. What does it mean?" I go, "I don't know what it means, actually." Like, I had never looked it up, right? So I go, "Let me look it up." Oh my god, so I'm looking it up, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it means God's gift,"
Wow.
which
And
is
that
what
goes back
it goes
yes.
back to what I was telling everybody, that this is God's gift, and it's
Yeah.
just I was like, "What?" Yeah, it's
Wow.
amazing, yeah.
I would have been like, I would have dropped my phone, like, there's no way. There
I was in shock. I was in shock because
Yeah.
we were sitting in front of, I think it was PF Chang's, in front of PF Chang's, a bunch of us from church. We were there for a conference. It was like a financial Christian conference, and I remember all of it. There was like 10 of us. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I'm like freaking out, like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh." Yeah, it was unbelievable. So,
That's so crazy. Yeah, and
yeah.
she's definitely is God's gift. She's supposed to be here for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a gift, definitely.
Oh, that's
She's
beautiful.
one of a kind. Yeah,
That's
but
awesome.
she's working, she's doing everything that, and she's very active in her church, she does worship, she's works on, the youth program, and she's really, like, she has been a gift,
Mm,
for the church, for the Lord, and how
yeah,
she's, like, plugging into other people and
yeah,
really elevating and uplifting, other people around her, so it's definitely a blessing
yeah, she was
overall,
meant to
right?
be here. Yeah,
Mhm.
for you and for
Yeah,
everybody.
for everybody,
Everybody
yeah.
who's impacted, yeah.
Yeah, so it's cool. It's really
That
cool.
is so cool, yeah. I
Mhm.
love the ending of that just because of the name and how I feel like it's like a full circle moment of God saying, "Yeah, she's supposed to be here. She's definitely
Yeah,
my gift," and
yeah. It's
She's
like
here
he's
for a
saying, like,
reason.
he was saying, like, there's definitely a reason, and there's a lot that she's gonna do. So,
Yep.
yeah, it's really cool. It's cool to see all of that, and when
I love that.
people speak, when there's some prophetic words over her, there's, like, a whole bunch of stuff that's come up, like, I'm just like, "Whoa, this is pretty cool."
Oh,
Yeah, it's cool.
that's awesome. I got chills. That's awesome.
Yeah, it
Um,
all thank you, Lord, yeah.
right? Yeah, he kept you that entire time through that
Mhm,
story.
and
Yeah,
it was hard. Let me tell you, it was not easy, but,
yeah,
you know, and I think back, it was really hard, but it was, I feel like now and the reason why I'm talking to you now, right, and I'm doing these podcasts is because at church, somebody told me at church, like, "You need to share your story." I go, I don't think so. Nobody
yeah.
wants to hear from me." And they're like, "Well, then you're being selfish." They said, "You're being selfish." I go, "What do you mean I'm being selfish?" I go, "I don't get that." I go, "What do you mean I'm being selfish?" They said, "Well, you're thinking about you. You're not thinking about all the people that you can impact and that you can help by sharing your
Yeah.
story. So you need to stop thinking about you. You need to start thinking about everybody else." And I said, "Oof,
Wow.
that's deep. Okay. Yeah."
You're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
that okay,
Yeah.
they're right."
Took me 3 years. Took me 3 years, but, I'm here. I'm here now.
It takes a minute, it really
Yeah.
does, and everybody kind of is on their own journey of telling their story too,
Mhm.
but it takes a minute. I think with your story, I just feel like you never know who may download this episode one day.
Yeah.
It could be now, it could be a year from now, you never know who may take this story of yours and say, "Because of her, I'm gonna make a change in my life,"
Yeah.
or,
I hope
"I
so.
feel
Yeah.
like that's me," like, I feel like I've been there, like you said, you have somebody that relates to you in some
Mhm.
way.
Well, if I can just help the one, if I can help one,
Yeah,
that one could help hundreds. Like, you
yeah,
just don't know, right? It could be the
true,
one that could be, like, the next, like, I don't know, Billy Graham, who knows? I don't know, right? But
true.
if I can help one, you just don't know how many others will be
Mhm.
affected by it, how many
Yeah,
generations will be affected by it, right? So,
yeah,
yeah.
like the lady speaking life into you at the
I
welfare center.
know. Yes. I remember that
Yeah,
office and the windows and sitting there in that plastic chair. Yeah. That's
wow.
I will not and just won't forget. Yeah. Just won't
Mhm.
forget.
Yeah, people definitely impact our lives more than they know, and she probably doesn't
Mhm.
even know how much she's impacted you, and is a
She
part of
has
your story. Yeah.
no idea, like, just I remember just, "I'm gonna do this," and I remember going to the not the welfare, the thrift store to buy a work shirt, slacks, and a blazer. I remember going to the thrift store and I
Wow.
spent like like $12. I think it was like $12 just to have a workout, interview outfit to wear. So, yeah, you
But you
just
did it.
I
You
did
did
it,
it.
yeah.
That's the thing.
And remember sewing. I was sewing it with, like, the needle and thread to make it fit right.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
Gosh. Isn't it crazy to see, like, how far you've come to from that experience?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do wanna talk about, you being in corporate America and, like, in your career now. Tell us
Uh-huh.
about what you do now, because I think that helps too from where you started and where you are now.
Yeah. Well, I'm a director of a sales team now. I work for a very, very, very large pharmaceutical I used to work for a smaller, and then I went back to large. So I work for a very large pharmaceutical company. Um, and my primary job, of course, we sell a product for bipolar and schizophrenia, right? But my
Mhm.
primary job is to lead my team, and I have a team of almost 100 people, and it
Wow.
encompasses managers and representatives, and that's my primary goal is to really elevate them and help them get better at what they do, and, I feel like I was brought there for a reason. I'm not sure yet what it is yet, right? Because I was at another company for a long time, but the Lord said, "Go here. I need you to go
Mhm.
here." And sometimes when the Lord does that to me, I'm just like, "Oh, okay."
Mhm. I hear
And
you.
which means, right? Which means that it's going to be a process, right? Because every
Yep.
time that happened, it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
easy getting there, but the path is not easy, but there's a reason for that. And there's a
Yeah.
reason why I'm there to grow as an individual or to help other individuals grow. So I
Mhm.
know I'm here for a reason, but yeah, that's my job now. And I've been doing this a long time. I've been leading teams for like 22 years now. Um, and because of this work, the Lord has been really good to bless me with really great numbers all the time. I mean, to
Wow.
me, I don't chase the number. I mean, I perform to the number, but I always know that if I do the right thing, the Lord's going to bless me. And He's blessed us. We've bought real estate. We have several houses in California, Texas. We have apartment buildings everywhere. We have our own small business. My husband and I have a digital marketing company. I'm writing a book now. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff happening. So it's cool. It's really cool. Like,
Yes.
yeah, just thinking about it, I'm like, what?
Yeah, yeah, you're like, "I said all that? That all came out of my mouth?"
Did I really say all
I
that? Yeah, I
mean,
know.
look, congratulations. I mean, I say
Thanks.
that because it just from your story and what you've gone through, like, to see where you are now, I think that gives so many people hope, like, "That can be me. I can do that. I can get
Yeah,
there. I can get to
you
where I
can.
want to be."
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanna end this podcast with just a question of what encouraging words would you leave any listeners with?
Um, the encouraging words, I would say no matter what situation you're in, gosh, it's really not it's the same words that the lady at the welfare office gave me.
Yeah,
Your situation doesn't determine what your life is going to be. It's just a situation. It's just a bump in the road, right? We go
yeah,
through different things, and sometimes we end up in a situation and we think that it's the end of the world, but it's not. It's just a situation. It's just that
yeah,
momentary passing thing. It doesn't determine who you are. It doesn't determine um, your future at all. That situation doesn't write your future for you. It's really just a situation, and you
mhm.
have to look at it as it's just a learning for you, and then I know it's hard to say that when you're, like, probably going you're I
You're
was
in it.
there, right? When there's just, like, $20 in your bank account, right? And you're just like, "This is not just a situation," right? Um, but there's a light at the end of that, and you
Yeah,
have to, like, focus on, "Okay, where do I wanna be? Okay, let me take the steps to get there." Okay, what do I need to do first? Instead of looking at the whole road and going, "Oh my gosh, I can't go the 20 miles down the road." Okay, let's just think about the first mile.
mhm,
What's the first mile? First milestone. Okay, what's the second? And then take it in little chunks because again, you just got to get past that situation to get to the end. It's easier said than done, but I believe that everybody can do it. Everybody.
mhm.
Because man, gosh, if I could just tell you guys even all the little nitty-gritty things that I had to do, you can do it. And then once you get past it, you're gonna realize how strong you are and how talented you are and how bold you are and how worthy you are when you get past it,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you're definitely worthy of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being so open to sharing your story too with us.
Well, you
And
made it
what
easy, Brandy. You made it easy there.
thank you. I hope I do. I feel like everybody's story to me, I really take them in and they're very special to me because it's not easy to tell your story and you always want to make sure you're telling it to the right person too. So
Yeah.
I don't take it lightly to tell anybody's story and I think your story I know it was very hard, but it is very beautiful. I mean, and we didn't even really talk a lot about like God and your faith in there, but you
Mhm.
could just tell through your story how God was in
In
every
it.
little
Yeah,
season of your
yeah.
life. Mhm.
Yeah,
And I
you can
love
tell, like,
that.
every single one you turn around and you're like, you think you're alone, but God's still right there. God's like,
Yep.
"I'm right here. Just come back. Just come
Yep.
back and talk to me," right?
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, okay, okay, help
Yeah.
me," you know?
Down
So
to
it's
her name being Matea,
I
like,
know oh my gosh, even, like okay, I'll tell you one weird story
no,
before
no,
we get
yeah.
I had gotten this, I had gotten these Bose headphones, these quiet comfort headphones, like 8 years ago,
Yeah.
and I remember I don't know what was going on at work, but it was super, super stressful. It was like it was another job, and it was, like, so stressful. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna quit. I can't do this. This is just I can't." And I remember opening my phone, and I'm like, "What is that?" I was trying to connect my headphones to my phone while I was on the
Yeah.
plane. I'm like, I can't find my headphones." Well, it got renamed to Grace Given. And I'm
Are you
like,
serious?
"I'm serious." I freaked out. I freaked out because I'm like, "Where's my headphones?" Because it used to say Bose Quiet Comfort, and I okay, I'm gonna swear, but I swear, I did not change them, and it literally had Grace Given, and that was the name of my headphones, and every time I connected it, it reminded me that grace is given.
Wow. We need to put
Yeah.
that on a t-shirt, Grace Given, because it's
Grace
so
given,
true. We're
right?
given grace all the time.
All the
Yeah.
time, but so
Yeah.
that it reminded me every single time I connected those earphones because I was on a plane every single week, sometimes 3 or 4 flights a week, and I
Wow.
would just see it every single time, and it was just a reminder, but I did not put it in there. I did not type it in there because you have to change the name to change
Yes,
the
you
name of it,
do.
but
Yeah.
I did change I didn't do anything to it. I know.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah. He's like, "I'm here.
I
I'm
know.
right here."
I'm right here. I'm right here,
Oh,
Christine.
I love that. I
I
feel like you're
know.
gonna do so much with your story. I feel
Thank
it.
you.
I do.
Thank you.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about your book. We'll have to have you back on
Yes.
once your book comes out and
When
all of
that comes
that, 'cause
out.
I think yes, I think that's
Yes.
gonna be really good and just like a follow-up to this episode too. Thank you
I
so
would
much for
love
being on
to.
my podcast. This is
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you. And thank your listeners.
Yes, thank you for listening.